nice to be able to get the message across, which I was trying to create throughout the whole exhibition, because the pieces by themselves, if seen, don't necessarily tell the true story, because the true story is about making a mockery of racism and the fact that racism never exists. And I took it from the historical signs of the no blacks, no dogs, no Irish signs that used to be above the bars and shops in the 50s and 60s. And I flipped that round and said, well, if that same racism and bigotry existed and you actually think about it, all of a sudden, you know, it's no Martians or it's no humans, or you have Asterix and Obelix with no French, and it's a mockery in how just ridiculous racism is. In this series, the last 2 years, I've been using cartoon characters to create that parody and the juxtaposition of the current social and economic climate. Everything from addiction to sexuality to gay marriage to hatred, racism, etc. So when I've been doing these, I want them to look like they're could be on a piece of a wall. So I use a lot of texture, I use a lot of grit on my canvases, and I use a lot of wallpaper, but it's kind of, I got the idea from a piece of wallpaper I found in my grandmother's attic, and it was that kind of naff floral design that used to be very big in sort of the 80s. I'm not too sure about elsewhere, but in Northern Ireland it was definitely everywhere. And that texture really helps create the multiple layers to the components. It's interesting whenever I get some of the older clientele or older customers of mine coming in, collectors, because they actually remember these signs being there. Although, look, I've never felt that hatred, obviously, and I'm blessed and I never felt that hatred. I just don't want people to forget that that hatred did once exist. And also, yes, it doesn't exist for the Irish anymore, but racism is still a massive problem in the world. And if you look at it, really, racism is the most ridiculous thing because there's no reason for it. And that's what this show was about, creating that parody and just making a mockery of racism and saying if we had that same bigotry towards everyone, no Germans, no French, no Spanish, you know, and it opens people's eyes up and makes them realise it is just quite ridiculous to judge someone on where they're from or their colour of their skin. In terms of favourite piece, I don't know, I think I love the piece on Asterix and Obelix with the no French, no dogs, no French, just because I think growing up I always used to watch a lot of Asterix and Obelix. But then the piece that we're standing behind, I find quite relevant because in 150 years' time, that same hatred could come down here from outer space if you know there is an alien. So it just makes people think, you know, forget color, forget where you're from, but it could be the fact that we're all humans, you know. So it's just that parody and kind of opens people's minds to realise that the problems we have in the world are so stupid.